18.
Well, hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Ashmit Kumar, and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Stock markets snap a four-day winning streak. Sensex falls over 300 points. Nifty loses 100 points. Financials lead the declines, even as mid-caps outperform the blue chips. Sebi floats a consultation paper with plans to seek more disclosures from high-risk foreign portfolio investors. Those with more than 50% stake in a single corporate group may need to reveal ownership details within 6 months or face action. This comes after Sebi told the Supreme Court that it had drawn a blank in identifying beneficial owners of 13 FPIs invested in Adani stocks. India's economy is likely to clock a growth rate of over 5% in Q4. A CNBC-TV18 poll shows growth for the full year is set to slow down from 9% in FY22 to 7% in FY23. The data will be released at 5:30 p.m. this evening. The government allows semiconductor program applicants to reapply for more mature nodes. Minister of State Rajiv Chandrasekhar says Vedanta has not been successful in finding a technology partner for the 28-nanometer chips, but also clarified that government has not rejected any applications yet. Anil Agarwal says Vedanta is fully equipped to make semiconductors in India. Anil Agarwal plays down concerns over Vedanta's debt, says lenders are very comfortable and the group's debt will be zero in a few years' time. Promises that the group will generate enough cash service debt and pay dividends to shareholders. Elon Musk makes an unannounced trip to China, meets the country's foreign commerce and industry ministers. This is the first visit since the pandemic and follows visits by other top American executives like Apple's Tim Cook and JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon. The United States debt ceiling suspension deal clears its first procedural hurdle. The House Rules Committee votes in its favor. The bill will be presented in the House of Representatives today for a debate and passage vote. International Wrestling Governing Body condemns the temporary detention of protesting wrestlers on Sunday, says it is disappointed over the lack of results of the investigation so far and threatens to suspend the Wrestling Federation of India. Union Sports Minister Anurag Thakur says wrestlers are indulging in emotional drama. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi begins his United States tour, addresses the Indian diaspora in San Francisco, says the government has tried everything it could to stop the Bharat Jodo Yatra, but its impact kept on increasing. Well, let's begin with the day's trading action. The Lal Street snapped its four-day winning streak. The Nifty and the Sensex fell over 0.5% each. The fall was led by the financials. Nifty Bank slipped below the 44,000 mark. Meanwhile, mid-caps relatively outperformed the blue chips to end the day 0.25% in the green. Prashant Nair is joining us now with a quick wrap of the day's market action. Prashant.
Well, finally, we saw some profit taking today, which lasted all the way into close and did not get bought into like we've seen so many times in the past. For 4 days in a row, the market had been up and up, adding about 2% or so. And today, after the weak Wall Street handoff, things were looking a little shaky and the dip got a little deeper towards the second half of the trade. The Nifty and the Bank Nifty up on your screen. Banks, of course, selling off a little bit more. Now, in the broader markets sphere, mid-caps and small caps. Mid-caps in the green, small cap was the one with a solid 1% gain, even on a day like today. And that showed up in stocks, mind you. I'll get to that in a bit. Now, on the large caps, the losses coming through in names like ONGC, Axis Bank, Reliance, NTPC, HDFC Limited. Gainers in names like Bharati, Kotak, and Tech Mahindra. Now we come to the broader markets. Well, advance decline was roughly 1:1, but I think it's completely in favor of advances because when you look at price moves, you must also look at volumes. Yeah, and the stuff which went up on a lot more volumes as compared to stuff which went down. So here we go. Suzlon, Torrent Pharma, Tega Industries, all earnings-related beats and numbers on your screen in terms of stock prices. Financials and microfinance has been a strong theme. Arman Finance, Spandana, even a housing finance company like PNB Housing, industrials, auto names, Craftsman, Sangvi Movers, GR Infrastructure. In that same light, Dixon, ABB, NRB Bearings doing very well. Textile names like Himmat Singh Ka Seed, Gokul Das, Arvind doing very well. Then Jindal, SAW, KPIT Tech, CDSL, and many more. I mean, you can just see the breadth of the moves that we had in terms of trade. Losers list with volumes much shorter. Adani Total, Campus, KRBL, Delivery, and a Lumax Tech. That's about it. The question is, if the market were to see some more continued pullback, will some important levels hold? For the Nifty, that comes in about 100 points from where we left off at 18,420. The other question is, will the US rally resume after a break last night? And I think that may answer a lot of questions about what happens here as well when we come back. Back to you.
Right. In a bid to increase transparency now, market regulator Sebi wants more disclosures from high-risk foreign portfolio investors. In a consultation paper, Sebi has proposed that FPI with more than 50% stake in a single stock or group will need to reveal ownership details within 6 months' time or face action. Now, this move comes after Sebi told the Supreme Court that it had drawn a blank in identifying beneficial owners of 13 FPIs invested in Adani stocks. Lata Venkatesh is joining us now with more details on these proposals forwarded by Sebi. Lata.
Basically, the purpose of Sebi's consultation paper is they want to know who are the ultimate owners of any fund which has more than 50% of its assets under management in only one stock or only one group of stocks. That is the purpose. Their point being that they've observed many such funds which for a long time hold only one fund. Their fear is that they may be in cohorts, they may be linked to the promoters of that company which they are holding, and together they are circumventing the minimum public shareholding rule, and they may even, control the price because most of the shares are with them. It is to stop this that they are bringing out this consultation paper, and they're making it very clear that this will apply to all funds which own more than 50% in one stock, but some exceptions, sovereign wealth funds, the central banks, these kinds of government pension funds, these are excluded. Also, very public funds with very large number of shareholders are also excluded as medium risk. All the remaining are high risk. And these high risk funds, if they have more than 50% of their AUM in one single group, they have to make all disclosures up to the last beneficial owner in that fund. Now, they will get 6 months to make all those disclosures. If they don't, the fund's registration itself will be considered invalid. And also by beneficial owner, Sebi is going to be a little more rigorous. They won't be happy if they just give the, it's owned by a company, which is owned by a company, and just the senior manager of that company is revealed. They want to know who holds the economic interest, the ownership and control of that fund. Also, in the consulting paper, they want to ensure that one of the government's rules called Press Note 3 is not circumvented. This rule requires that investors from neighboring countries like China or Pakistan will have to come only through with government approval. Sebi fears that this rule could be getting violated. So all FPIs which own a large amount, like over 25,000 crore of investments, will have to give additional information about the people investing in that fund. How much could be impacted? About 2.6 lakh crore of money invested in India are within this category. That is just 6% of the total funds invested. So, according to Sebi, this doesn't look like it will disrupt the market much.
Right, Lata, thanks a lot for that. Now, Morgan Stanley has taken stock of the 9 years of the Modi government. In a report, it said that this India is different from what it was back in 2013. Now, the investment banking firm also highlighted 10 big changes that the country has witnessed in the last decade. Now, these include supply-side policy reforms, formalization of the economy, and a boom in real estate and services exports. The report also listed fragmented general election outcome in 2024, sharp rise in commodity prices among the key challenges. Well, India's economy will likely clock a growth rate of over 5% in the fourth quarter, as per CNBC-TV18 poll. The third quarter GDP growth stood at over 4%. Our poll also showed the growth for the full year is set to slow down from 9% in FY22 to 7% in the current fiscal year. The government will release the data later this evening. Well, the government says that it has allowed semiconductor program applicants to reapply for more mature nodes. Minister of State Rajiv Chandrasekhar told me that there is no communication from the government about not pursuing Vedanta's 28-nanometer fab proposal. He also added that the company is still trying to locate technology for it.
I want to clarify that there is no communication from the government that we are not pursuing the Vedanta 28-nanometer fab proposal. Currently, they are engaged with, and I've said this before, they are engaged in a negotiation to locate and to sign up on a 28-nanometer manufacturing technology. That is a process that is still work in progress. So while that is in progress, we are also saying that we are opening up a window where if they or indeed anybody else wants to apply for 28 nanometer or 40 nanometer technology, and we understand that they have access to 40 nanometer technology, that is this consortium, as well as some other consortium that are interested, that they should go ahead and apply for the 48 nanometer technology fab as well.
Well, Vedanta's Anil Agarwal spoke exclusively to CNBC-TV18. He claimed that the group is fully equipped to make semiconductors in India.
So you have a vision out there and you're telling us these plans are pretty much going according to plan as of now, and the government and Vedanta Limited are working shoulder to shoulder to try to make this project possible, right, sir?
Yeah, see, the foreigner, I'm son of a soil. मैं तो इसी मिट्टी का हूँ. मेरे को मालूम है कैसे होता है, क्या होता है. We are the risk taker. We are going ahead to build our country, to make it a develop, and these things will come, this approval, that approval, but our Prime Minister, only because of our Prime Minister, who is a visionary, he wants to make sure that our country can develop, the poor to poorest can go uplift, and this semiconductor will help. So we are going ahead. I'm not that educated, but I know for sure I have a full assurance from the government, and I have given them a full assurance that we will work shoulder to shoulder and we will make sure that semiconductor project comes. Also, please understand, the world does not want us to produce semiconductor. There will be hurdles after hurdles. There will be hurdles after hurdles because they want to buy the semiconductor from them and build the product here. And we want to do both. We want to produce the semiconductor and we want to build laptop, we want to build a smartphone. Every 15 years, girls or boy must have a affordable laptop. Those days has gone where we used to push our children to become a lawyer or doctor or engineer. This is a time where they have their own vision, and laptop will be window to the world, and this is what semiconductor will do.
Meanwhile, Anil Agarwal also played down the concerns around Vedanta's debt. He said that the banks are very comfortable and promised that Vedanta will be free of all debt in a few years. But he did not provide any specific timelines. Take a look.
The other niggling problem is what's happening at Vedanta Resources, Mr. Agarwal. You know, there are a couple of payments. I think in the near term, we're looking at a couple of reports that came out today. And the near terms, that's May and June payments, I think $500 to $700 million. That's been taken care of at the parent level. But I think going ahead for the remainder of this year, there's still a couple of $1 billion odd. How sure are you that you can make these payments? Do you want to give a message out to your shareholders? Because Vedanta Limited is not something that people worry about. They worry about Vedanta Resources making those payments. So can you clear the air?
I think we are very comfortable debt. You know, is always the case when people like us stand. We have to do 25% extra. When my daughter was studying in UK, I used to tell her, if you want 1-to-1, you have to do better than them. Same thing with us. We are very comfortable. We are the people who cash generate in the company. How can I give a dividend? The kind of dividend we have given, nowhere in the world people can even imagine. For me, nothing is more closer to me than the shareholder. And I always tell them and promise them that there is no question where the dividend will not flow, where our payment, it is just even I don't even think that how the payment will be made, because we have a cash flow and this payment will be made. So as far as our debt equity ratio is very comfortable, our banks, lenders, everybody is very, very comfortable. My dream, my vision is in few years, I will have a zero debt company.
Welcome back. Now, Rahul Gandhi is visiting the United States in an effort to reach out to Congress supporters overseas. He arrived in San Francisco on Tuesday. Over the next 6 days, he would be visiting think tanks, academic institutions, and address the Indian community in New York on the 4th of June. Now, this visit comes just ahead of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to the United States in July. So what are the larger political implications of this Rahul Gandhi US visit? Parishit Luthra has more.
Anybody who is poor in India today, right, when he looks at the extreme wealth that a limited number of people have, in some way he feels the same thing that you feel, that what is going on? How is it that these 5 people have lakhs of crores and I have nothing to eat?
Congress leader Rahul Gandhi taking the attack on Prime Minister Modi and the NDA to the diaspora in the United States. Months after being disqualified as an MP and days after Congress's victory in Karnataka, Gandhi arrived in the US. This is just a month before Prime Minister Modi's state visit to the United States. During the next 6 days, Rahul Gandhi will be meeting academics, experts on artificial intelligence, think tanks, politicians and journalists.
You cannot cut hatred with hatred. It's impossible. Right? You know that. You can only cut hatred with love and affection. And I was surprised at how easy it was to erase hatred in India.
The former Congress president will be using this opportunity to brief the diaspora and India watchers about the Bharat Jodo Yatra and the Congress's campaign against the BJP. During this visit, Rahul Gandhi would also be addressing a press conference in Washington, D.C. His visit culminates with an address to the Indian community in New York. This outreach can be seen as an attempt to win over the influential diaspora in the United States, which has been consistently wooed by the NDA over the last 9 years.
He's presenting himself as the sort of polar opposite of Narendra Modi, who he describes as somebody who spreads hatred and divisiveness. He's somebody who spreads love and tries to join and unite. But I think that, unfortunately, the BJP has managed to label him as a pappu, somebody who's quite useless. And it took something like this 3-month-long Bharat Jodo Yatra to erase that impression that he's been, carrying for the last 9 years. So it is part of the whole image makeover of Rahul Gandhi.
Experts say a diaspora outreach will have few electoral benefits, but is part of the Congress's strategy to counter Narendra Modi's messaging to the 33 million strong Indian diaspora abroad.
The Indian diaspora, especially in the US, has really arrived, and they are amazingly successful. They are doing all, in every domain that they are really doing amazingly well. And we have seen Prime Minister Modi connecting extremely well with the diaspora wherever he goes. We have seen in the Houston and New York and everywhere else. Personally, I don't think there is any harm in Rahul Gandhi going and meeting the diaspora. The big question is what he says there. I mean, are we going to discuss our domestic politics in that country? That is some question that need to be asked by the political parties themselves.
The Congress hopes that Rahul's visit to the United States, after his visits to UK and Europe, will help the former Congress president in being perceived as a strong alternative to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In New Delhi, Parikshit Luthra.
Well, in national headlines, the international wrestling governing body, that's United World Wrestling, has for the first time spoken against the treatment meted out to Indian wrestlers. The global body has condemned the temporary detention of wrestlers and has also warned of consequences if action is not taken in the matter. UWW has also threatened to suspend the Wrestling Federation of India if it fails to conduct fresh elections. Back home, Farm Union leader Naresh Tiketh has said that a Mahapanchayat will be held in Muzaffarnagar to support the ongoing protest and discuss the next course of action tomorrow. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18. The news and updates continue on the other side.